Ways and Means Committee. Could we have Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Petra, how about a roll call, please?
Mr. Moffett.
Here.
Mayor Lavarella.
Here.
Mr. Bell.
Here.
Mr. Turner.
Here.
Mr. Heigensfelder.
Here.
Ms. Tillerson.
Here.
Ms. Schuster.
Okay. The first item is to approve the minutes from the May 1st meeting. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, corrections from anyone?
Already submitted.
Excuse me?
Already submitted.
Okay. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. We have no old business, so the only new business is in tab 2, and it's to review and potentially recommend to Town Council the approval of a survey, land survey, of the Beachwalker Drive and the Kiowa Island Parkway intersection. Actually, there's kind of two parts to this. One is Beachwalker Drive, and the other is the intersection there.
Mr. Nardelli is going to present.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm here to present based off the Public Works Committee, Public Works Department, and this is a joint effort with the Planning Director, John Taylor, to get to all these two proposals we have here. This is to consider plans of the intersection for Beachwalker Drive and the Kiowa Island Parkway. And we need an updated survey and for the topography, right-of-way, utilities in this area. The town currently does not have this information, so staff contacted two firms to get these quotes. This information is necessary to move forward through detailed road designs, future landscape, and infrastructure improvements to include activities for this major intersection as well as Beachwalker Drive. And so we have two proposals here from Southeastern Land Surveyor, LLC, at a total of $29,920, and Schwacke Associates, 42, a little over 43. So staff's requesting that the Ways and Means Committee recommend to Town Council approving the quote for Southeastern Land Surveyor, LLC, in the amount of $29,920 Island Parkway intersection, Walker Drive.
I have one question. The 29,000 that's in this southeastern quote,
Yeah.
it includes the low country locating dollars?
Yes.
So this is the complete request?
Yes. Yeah, it's lumped in. So Southeastern doesn't do utility locating, and so they had to hire a subcontractor for this work,
Okay.
which is low country locating.
Okay. So I actually had two questions.
Yeah.
The second question is, do you know what accounts for the significant difference in the price between the two bids?
Yeah, I asked Brian that question, and he said that is just Schwacke's quote, and it's mostly has to do with the Beachwalker Drive quote, as you see, the 30,000 comparison to the 18.
Yeah.
He said that was just what it took to do the job for them.
And we're not concerned with the quality of the work of Southeastern for lesser money, that they'll still be able to do the entire thing?
I talked to John Taylor about that, and these two firms have been around on Kiowa for a long time, and so he's very familiar with their work, and he's confident that Southeastern Land Surveyor will do a good job.
Okay.
I have three questions.
Go ahead, sir.
So first, we are certain for the Beachwalker Drive that these two proposals are comparable.
Yes,
Because
it's an
I have used Schwacke before, and they always have been very reasonable. So there's really no difference in content.
No, this is an apples to apples quote.
Okay. Second question. I fully understand and support the survey for the intersection to do this right now, just to be prepared whatever comes, down that road, so to speak. That's okay. I'm not exactly sure I understand why we have to do Beachwalker Drive. there's nothing going on. Why would we need to spend that money at this time?
This is before, this will be for improvement projects, especially when it comes to landscaping, but also the developments, the recent developments, basically outlining what we can do down Beach Walker.
Michael, one of the.
Well, the topic of the landscaping is a different one for me. I mean, I only learned now that we probably a little prematurely gave that order or this contract to this landscaping company, because by the deed for this road, we are not required to do anything to the road as long as it's not majorly different to other roads behind the first gate, and I would clearly say there is no difference to certain roads if you compare it. So why would we do the survey now?
Well, if
I mean, if
You want
they're
me to-
quoting them
if you
separately
wanna address
anyway.
it, you want-
Michael,
Yeah.
if I might, I mean, Stephanie, does this flow from the Beach Walker Drive Park, a walk that we did with the group, where, Michael, I'd raised the question at the time, and where did the town's right-of-way extend to? And there was some question about that, where it encroached upon Inlet Cove, Riverview, or the other side, and apparently I said, could we get a survey of what that right-of-way was? And
Right.
I was told that there actually wasn't one.
You know, and to extend on that, I would think with all the activity that's going down there with this Lot 1 and
Yeah.
the construction now and the changes that are going to occur, it would be helpful to have a survey,
Yeah,
I would think.
I
Well,
think it
that's-
would be helpful to have a survey of our roads, and so that's why we went ahead and included Beach Walker in the proposal, because it's our road, we don't know exactly what's ours and what's not. We're always asked
Yep.
that question, and so that's why we included
Okay,
it.
but then why would we do not only a land survey to determine exactly that, and not do all the utilities? Because that's probably, I would say, the most work and time-consuming thing.
that is included.
Why
Yeah.
would we need to do this now? Because we don't do any construction, and if one of the developers along these two properties that you just mentioned, has a concern about utilities, then let them pay for it.
Well,
Well, I
part
was
of
gonna-
this is
We
not
need to do
just,
it.
because part of this is not just for the developers, Upper Beach Walker. Probably about a month or so ago, when we did the walkthrough with OSD, as you guys know, you had approved OSD to do some bubble diagram and ultimately some improvements in terms of landscaping along Beach Walker. We did a kind of walk audit with some property owners, concerned citizens, and the question became, well, can we put landscaping on certain areas, certain cleanup areas? And we said, well, that may not be our property. So really, this just doesn't impact Upper Beach Walker. We're looking at the entire section of Beach Walker and understanding what is ours, what is not ours, what can we do within our right-of-way, what's in someone else's property. So, yeah, in terms of for you all, the question that you're asking us, do we have to do this now? Of course not, but at some point, I think this is something that the town will want to have, is a survey of our property. It can be done
But why
at a
don't we
later.
do this then in sequence? Let's wait until, the design company comes back with their proposal for Beach Walker Drive. Then we have the discussion, how much of what this company is proposing are we really doing? Because again, by the deed, we are only required to beautification, similar to what is behind the first gate, and then decide if we need to either do the whole Beach Walker Drive or portions of it, if we need to do just the land survey and the utility, or maybe only the land survey. I think we want to do this more step by step than
So my comment to that
premature.
would be that it's a little bit of a chicken or the egg. At some point, you got to do the survey. Do you do the survey before you have another company come in and design a bunch of roads, only to find out, and so you know where things are, like the boundaries and the utilities, or do you have them come in and do that and then do the survey and find that they've designed something that is sitting right over a sewer pipe?
Well, I want to
would think-
back that up. From with my background, every construction contract typically has the need for an as-built survey at the end of the construction as part of the deliverables that are provided when the job is closed out. So one of my questions before going forward is, do we have as-builts? We should have them. Certainly, the utility companies will have as-built surveys of all of their work. And then thirdly, what I wanted to bring up was, if we are not requiring as-built surveys for anything that we do construction-wise, we need to start. That's a basic construction requirement.
One other thing I would just note, it's a matter of current relevance because we have a landscape maintenance contract in place. And right now, there's not any real clarity as to what they're actually responsible for because we don't know, I guess, where our property line extends to. So how far into the woods do they need to be clearing out and cleaning out?
Yes.
Or not? And so we just didn't have that information when we were walking down Beach Walker.
But we should have available, we should be able to ask any utility company or wherever we have archives here, and maybe even Kika has it. Every utility contract I've ever observed has the requirement to have an as-built survey of their respective scope of work. That has to exist somewhere. And I'm just thinking, why are we spending money for something that already exists? We just need to find out where it is.
Russ, a comment and a question. Years back, the storm runoff disintegrated underneath Beach Walker, and we had to rip it up and put in new drain pipes and the like. Russ's point's well taken. There should be as-builts to that. I don't know. A long, long time ago. So the question would be, in what condition? So there's a sense of appropriateness because the question is the appropriateness of all of those, the drain. I can't remember which drain it was or where it was or whatever. But my question is, we have estimates on the widening of Beach Walker that was done then without this. So I wonder about that cost estimate that the contractor had given us that we have in our budget, and I guess we're not under contract with anybody yet to construct that road or to widen the drive,
So it would seem to me,
the intersection.
it would seem to me that
But I'm just not, excuse me, but just, so we have that construction estimate, but we don't have the topography yet. So is that going to affect that construction estimate?
Nothing's been sent out, so we don't have really anything from the intersection improvement because we have not bidded anything out. So,
I
no.
know we got an estimate. Did we just get that?
Well, that may have been just from Kimberly Horn, but they would still need to eventually
Excuse
do
me,
that.
then
Yeah,
I-
and with regards to Russell's question, so Beach Walker in yours, when I started, we had that issue. We did not have the whole area survey, because that was one of the questions I asked. Now, prior to me.
We did or we didn't?
We did not.
That's right, yeah, I remember that.
Prior to me, when this all came up, I did ask, and this Brad had asked, do we have a survey of Beach Walker? And the answer was no. We have looked at certain sections, but we've never had the entire area surveyed.
So let me offer this. It doesn't sound like anybody is opposed to having the survey done. One is a question maybe of timing, and the other is, are we doing work that may already exist?
Does one exist?
So perhaps we don't vote for this to be recommended to town council today. Maybe what we do is we ask the staff to do some research between now and the next Ways and Means Committee to see how many of these surveys actually exist, and then next month, if we find they're insufficient, then we would recommend this be done.
Agreed.
Because I think everybody says it ought to be done.
Yeah.
It's on two different proposals as well. So if you wanted to vote specifically for the intersection, which I don't think anyone disagrees needs to
The
get
problem is that
done.
if part of that intersection is the location of the utilities, which, to Russ's point, he believes probably already exists. And so, again, there doesn't seem to be any urgency to have this done immediately.
Okay.
Maybe we do a little research, find out what's out there now, and then come back and maybe make a little bit better decision.
Yeah.
We can, yeah,
in
so we can do
July.
that, because I did ask that question beforehand, I was told that we didn't have everything. So what we can do is we can be prepared to spell out, and what do we currently have so that you guys can see. Because on, for instance, the intersection there, I know we had to get the utilities surveyed just for that one section, but we don't have the entire
Yeah, so.
intersection.
Well,
So we have
Again,
bits
it
and
doesn't-
pieces.
It doesn't cost us anything to wait a
Right,
month, so.
right, exactly.
Do I need a motion to have it delayed a month?
No, but I'm just getting back to the relevance to it. That costs us some money to fix that storm runoff. It would be good to have that whole road checked, because if there's other piping under there that may be failing or whatever, it would be better to know it and somehow anticipate it in terms of our budget than not.
But
And I
that's
don't
not
think
the
anybody, I don't think
purpose.
anybody's questioning that.
But that's not the purpose of this quote.
But I
They
guess the
just
point is,
I think it is.
give us
can we-
drawings, but not a status of the utilities.
That's a different kind of
That's a different kind of
inspection. Yeah,
thing.
that's not a survey.
so again, I think what I'm hearing is everybody's in favor of actually doing this work at some point, but maybe not now and not as much. So do
You
we?
can do a motion to table, and then we can bring it back to you
So can I
at
have
the next Ways and Means, which will be in July, because
Yep.
we won't have one this month.
Okay, so won't have one
July
this
or
month.
June?
This is June. This is
So we will
June.
not have one in June, bring it in July.
Today is June.
I know, but we're not going to have a Ways and Means
today
meeting
is the
until July.
But
Yeah,
technically, today is the May meeting.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're not going to have a June Ways and Means meeting. It's going to be
Gotcha,
in July
gotcha,
at the
gotcha.
council
Okay,
meeting.
I'm
So we're
with-
going to
I'm
do
with-
the exact same
Okay,
thing. It's
okay,
going to be
okay,
before
okay,
council.
okay.
Yeah, that's
It's only
So can
because
I
a
have
number
a-
of people are not going to be here. They're going to be on vacation.
Can I have a motion to delay this till the July Ways and Means Committee?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
I just have one more point, because we all know Kika just did that new planter leading up to the front gate. But one would think they'd have to have a survey done, at least in that immediate area. So let's ask them if they have something.
Yeah. Ask the utility company, ask Berkeley, see what they have, and that maybe helps us to put a few things together. It might not avoid that we need to do a survey, but then at least we don't double and triple pay, so.
Well, I may have misread this. I don't have any confidence at all in utility companies. It should be included somehow. I am worried about that now that we're talking about it, all of that underground piping. That's the oldest road on the island, and that stuff, it just collapsed. And if we go ahead and do landscaping or anything, when we start running into those kinds of problems, then stuff's going to be ripped up. So
And that's a fair point. That's not survey here is really on the surface. One can do a bore scope inspection readily. That can be done. And actually, I think that's,
I think that's a good idea.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
that would be valuable information.
All right, any other comments?
Yeah, just one. So whenever that is done, we have to expect that, this whole intersection and the road looks like a painting from Miro for a couple of months. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
All the markings, because they
Yeah.
are just, they are spraying everything everywhere. Across planters, across roads, across, lawn. And I always question why they're really doing that, to be honest.
Because they,
Well, they have these spray cans, and
They're
then
spraying where they find a
whenever they
pipe or a
think
wire.
they find something,
but that's
they're
just for
marking on the road,
construction.
so-
If you're only doing a survey, you don't have to spray because you're not doing any
So
active
that's exactly
construction.
what I'm getting to, Russ, right? So if we could, please, ask to avoid
Limit
that
the
we
markings.
have to live for, a year or so with, a Miro painting on that road, that would really be nice. Thank you.
Okay.
okay, any other comments?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
So I don't really have much to report, other than the fact that before the meeting started, Dorota and I were talking about how we always have items that are relatively important to talk about, like budgets or treasurer's reports or reserve funds and so forth, and they always get to the bottom of the agenda when everybody's anxious to get to those sandwiches that are coming. So I suggested that maybe when we have something that, maybe not a monthly budget report, but when we have a budget review or a reserve discussion, that we move it further up the agenda so that everybody gets that while they're fresh. So we may do that when we have one of those come up, okay? That way Dorota doesn't feel like she's always last.
I
Okay,
think that's a good idea.
that's all I have. Dorota, it's your turn now.
I'll be brief though. So I have a 11 months budget report, and as end of May, our revenues were about 13.8 million, which they are higher than last year and compared to the budget. The main contributor of that variance is interest income, because when you compare it to last year of 40,000 or budgeted 35,000, and we at $1 million through May. Any other revenues, pretty much, as I was reporting through the year, we were very conservative with budgeting, and they're gonna be exceeding the budget, but pretty much comparable to last year. As far as the expenditures, we are at 9.1 million, which is about 80% of the total budget. And there is some positive or negative variances when comparing to the budget, but they mostly related to the timing. This is, again, this is cash basis. There is few items that are gonna be over the budget, and this is payroll and personnel costs, but it's related to more hires this year than we had last year, or full-time employees. Another one is the beach patrol. The contract was approved in February 2022, and it was a big increase of 250,000. Another one is professional services, which is legal fees of our attorney and the outside firms that we hired for different engagements, and our town's attorney outside of his contract. And this number is going to be even higher because after I completed, I got a note from Stephanie that she has still some pending for May that haven't been included. Consultants are higher than budgeted, but it's because of the contract for the communication company was approved after the budget was approved last year. And the maintenance cost is higher than budgeted, and it's also related to projects that were approved after the budget approval. So everything pretty much is in line. I mean, we are gonna end up with higher revenues than budgeted, but the expenditures, except for those few items that are they were all approved through the Ways and Means and Town Council, but nothing outstanding. Yes, sir?
Dorota, I just have one question. I just want to make sure I understand the columns. The column for total budget, is that for the entire fiscal year?
Yes, it's not year to date. It's the entire year.
Okay, because we're comparing year to date to the entire year.
Yes.
That means we've already expended 80% of the budget.
That's correct.
With
But it's through 11 months, so pretty much.
With 1 month to go. Right?
1 month to go.
Just 1
Okay.
month to go, so we should be,
close.
ideally, we should be at 91%, and that would be, but we not really, some expenditures they're not really monthly spread. So with the expenditures, I feel like we're pretty in line.
Okay, thank you.
Dorota, help me to clarify. So you just talked about the 3 items that are really, show significant overrun related to budget and prior year, which were professional services, especially legal fees, consultants, and maintenance. Now, I understand also from our prior discussions and meetings that the consultants overrun and the maintenance overrun were due to these contracts that we officially approved in the Ways and Means, et cetera, after the budget was sealed, right? And that's what you just mentioned. But
Yes.
I don't think that's the case for legal services, though, right? We did not approve a higher budget or certain additional expenses. This is just what comes in because of all of these legal activities that we have to contract, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so
And
this is really a running out of control situation, basically, because we have now spent 50% more than budgeted. What you just said makes me even more worried that we still have some May invoices that are actually not in here because they came in late, which means that in June now, we get additional expenditures or have additional expenditures on legal fees back from May, and we have the June legal fees. So this number of 48% increase over budget for professional services will, by the end of this fiscal year, so 1 month to go,
Yeah.
will probably be even higher in percent.
Yes.
And we already spent more than $70,000 more than we budgeted and $43,000 more than prior year. I just want to make sure that
correct.
my numbers are correct and
That's
that
correct,
we
yes.
clearly put that into the records.
Yes.
Okay.
So what we budgeted in that number was the contract, our town attorney contract plus 10 for miscellaneous. But this is all, everything is over.
I understand. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dorota.
Any citizens' comments? No citizens. All right, Brad, anything to say?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman?
Russell?
No, nothing.
John?
Nothing, sir.
Michael?
Yes, I have one thing. I know that we are all a little hung up with comments from the community, might it be by email or in these meetings, although the last 2 meetings were without attendance, but still, I would like to make the motion to bring back to the agenda the topic of citizen comments to agenda items as we had in prior meetings. I think it is our duty to make sure that if community members want to come and want to speak up, that they come and speak. To not have that on the agenda, I think might even prevent community members to come and speak.
So
from
you're
the next
saying add
meetings,
the one back to the top.
I would,
Agenda item comments?
yes, I would like us to consider, and I would therefore like to bring a motion forward to include again citizen comments after the approval of the minutes, I think was usually the location for this, so before old business and after approval of minutes, so that citizens would have the chance to come and speak up to agenda items in these meetings.
Yeah, I think we just need to change, we don't,
I'm-
yeah, okay, we'll change the agenda
I
for
would
that.
at least want us to do this.
Okay,
That
that's
would be
easy enough.
my thing.
All right, we'll add that back.
Thank you very much. Otherwise, I have no comments.
Okay, motion to adjourn?